I'm going to talk about enterprises as model-driven systems, and the word model-driven is in there to also raise some discussion in the sense of I could have called it model-enabled, but I call it model-driven, and I'll come back to that along the way. Could have also called it Enterprise Modeling 2.0 because I want to look beyond what we would normally do when we do enterprise modeling, in a sense that it usually takes place in the context of things like business IT alignment, where we are engineering a new organizational structure, new business processes, etc. A very top-down approach. And hopping between industry and practice, and also getting my ass kicked by practitioners, I develop a bit of a slightly different view on what happens there. So I'll get to that. So my interests from a fundamental side are domain modeling, science, practice, and to some extent it's also an art of domain modeling, and in particular in enterprise context. I like modeling. I've always done that in my career, if you could call it like that, but I like to play around with models in an enterprise context. And ever since my work in industry, I've added the perspective of return on modeling effort. We create models, and creating models takes time. You have to learn a language, if you use a specific language, and you have to sit down and turn it into a model, what you're observing. And that's an effort, so there better be a return of that effort. And that's something that drives me in my research across EMEA, enterprise modeling, engineering, and architecting. In that field, I apply that the most. It's not limited to that field, but that's my traditional playing ground. So this is my agenda. A brief few words about enterprises, a few more words about models, what they are, and then a key step is a roam via rhyme. Return on modeling effort, what via and rhyme are, I'll come back to that when I get there. Then switching to the role of models in enterprises. And until then, 1, 2, 3, you might think, is this guy talking about IT at all, or just enterprises in general? Because then the last bullet will hop to the digital age, because enterprise models are needed desperately in the digital age when we talk about business processes, IT, etc., and aligning these things. But conversely, with digital means, we also have a way to improve or reduce the effort for modeling, the roam part. So that's the plan. Now, an enterprise. Those are companies, two examples, voestalpine and ING, the list goes on.